Next item of business is a shareholder proposal submitted by the Action Fund Management concerning global warming. Dr. Tom Borelli will now introduce the proposal. Dr. Borelli. Morning.
My name is Tom Borelli from the Free Enterprise Action Fund. We urge fellow shareholders to vote for our proposal calling for a global warming report. The reason is clear. We are in the middle of an environmental bubble where any corporate action colored a shade of green gets a pass from analysts, shareholders, and board members. Just like the tech and housing bubbles, companies that fail to exercise proper risk management will suffer severe financial consequences. Unfortunately, Pepsico has failed to carefully assess the impact of global warming alarmism and regulations on its business. Even a superficial review of the topic would show that global warming alarmism and regulation should be feared, not embraced. Pepsico is a member of the United States Climate Action Partnership, an organization that is actively lobbying for federal regulation of greenhouse gas emissions. Capping emissions on fossil fuels that currently provide 85% of our energy means higher prices for the company and its consumers, higher energy prices for the company and its consumers, as well as slower economic growth. In fact, cap and trade will bring about the very risk the company cites in its 10K filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission with respect to increase in energy prices. In fact, by lobbying for cap and trade, PepsiCo is lobbying against its own earnings. Your presentation this morning just emphasized how slower economic growth and increase in energy prices is rising commodities and hurting our company's earnings. That's exactly what cap and trade is doing. So you're actively lobbying against your own earnings. Now let's take a look at the bill that's currently moving through Congress, one no doubt that you support through cap and trade. It's called the Lehman-Warner Climate Security Act. And according to the National Manufacturers Association, which I assume Pepsi is a member, the economic impact is the following. Employment losses of 1.2 million to 1.8 million jobs in 2020, household income losses from $739 to $2,927 in 2020, electricity prices up 28% to 33% by 2020, and gasoline prices up 20 to 69% by 2020. One economic impact. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, loss in GDP could be as high as $983 billion, that's with a B, and by 2050, losses could grow as high as $2.8 trillion with a T. So you're lobbying for slower economic growth. Despite all these costs, the environmental benefit is negligible. Atmospheric carbon dioxide levels would be 25 parts per billion lower by 2095, almost 100 years from now. Obviously, these consequences will be bad for Pepsi's business. Then there are the regulatory consequences that haven't been contemplated in poor risk management for Pepsi's carbonated beverages. Determination of carbon dioxide as a pollutant would cause a host of regulatory problems for bottlers and expose them to liability, environmental liability. And let's not forget about Pepsi's brand image. If activists have a problem with bottled water contributing to global warming, wait till they classify a can of Pepsi as a global warming delivery device. That's not as far-fetched as it seems because the recent tax on bottled water in Chicago was justified as an eco-sin tax. As you know, discouraging bottled water use has become an easy target for headline-seeking politicians eager to find a way to save the planet. Mayors of major cities, including San Francisco, are banning the purchase of bottled water by city agencies. Because of this political movement, your Bottled Water Trade Association is now trying to put out the fire that PepsiCo helped set. In addition to the lobbying for regulations, PepsiCo played a role in fanning the flames of global warming alarmism by sponsoring Al Gore's concert, Live Earth, last summer. It should be noted that a judge in the UK ruled that Al Gore's inconvenient truth had a number of inaccuracies and exaggerations about global warming for which there is currently insufficient scientific evidence. This is from a UK judge. And that the film promotes a partisan political view. Because of this, schools in the UK will have to issue warnings before they view Al Gore's inconvenient truth. Too bad we couldn't have a warning label in Giant Stadium after Pepsi was promoting this concert. To conclude, that shareholder money is being used to promote government and social activist actions that will have a negative impact on Pepsi's brands, its consumers, and economic growth. We urge fellow shareholders to carefully examine the consequences of performance without thoughtful purpose.
Thank you, Dr. Borelli. Before we call for a second, let me once again take a moment to share PepsiCo's position on this matter, as outlined in our proxy statement. PepsiCo does understand that there is some controversy that remains about the causes of global warming. However, it is our belief that it is happening, as we showed in our video, and we are acting to reduce our environmental footprint. We have participated in discussions with other corporations and governments, as well as NGOs, and we are seeking to better understand trends and develop appropriate actions. Our belief is that being proactive on this issue will have net benefits for our company and, more importantly, for the world in which we operate in. With that said, is there anybody here to second Dr. Borelli's motion?
Madam Chairman, I second the motion.
Thank you. Our last item of business is a shareholder proposal submitted by TIAA Crete.